Why do best leaders call this sport best? Howard Schultz, honorary chairman of Starbucks, Ben Horowitz, founder of Andreessen Horowitz, and US President-elect Joe Biden. American football is a sport they devoted to their youth, nicknamed the $1 trillion coach, and mentored by Silicon Valley giants. In this article, we look at one sport that the best founders and managers were passionate about in their youth, and what they learned from this sport. If you read what I'm going to talk about from now on, you'll find that playing team sports when you're young, even if it's not American football, can be of great help even as an adult. I think today's article could be more helpful, especially for those with young children. American football's popularity is proven by several numbers. According to the US economic media Forbes, among all professional sports clubs in the world, the club with the highest economic value is the Dallas Cowboys, belonging to the NFL, the American Professional Football League. Like this, American football is a national sport for Americans. As such, countless youth have played in the football team from the past to the present. The same was true of the protagonists of this article. Now, let's take a look at why they could learn from football from now on. Howard Schultz, who was from a slum in New York, USA, was also able to continue his studies thanks to American football. He was the first to enter college in his family, thanks to his selection as an American football player at the University of Northern Michigan. When he wasn't interested in studying in high school, he was most happy when he took the quarterback position on the team. He later gave up scholarships for the high school football team he played for after he became a big businessman. Howard Schultz said, "Our team had to play away because the school was so poor that we didn't even have a football field. The team wasn't good, but I was one of those good players. One day, someone came to watch our game and scout an outstanding player, and I didn't know that. A few days later, I got a letter. The letter, as if from another planet, came from the University of Northern Michigan. They were recruiting players for the football team. How excited I must have been! I jumped and screamed and screamed. It felt like I was invited to the NFL draft. I don't know how my mother's dream of sending me to college could have come true without this scholarship." What did Ben Horowitz learn from American football? Ben Horowitz, who became one of Silicon Valley's leading venture capital investors after listing his company's Loudcloud on NASDAQ in 2001, when the dot-com bubble collapsed, was also able to learn life lessons through American football. As a child, he grew up in a very liberal and leftist neighborhood called the Berkeley People's Republic. His grandfather was a hot-blooded member of the American Communist Party, and his father worked as an editor for the new left-oriented magazine, Ramparts. His family and neighbors didn't see football as a desirable sport. The reason was that it was an overly militaristic and imperialist sport. Despite this perception by those around him, Ben Horowitz applies to the football department after his high school entrance. He wanted to find out what kind of sport American football was. The fact that he entered the football club, not any other sport, surprised his family and neighbors. And for the first time in his life, he was able to learn important lessons on leadership through Chico Mendoza, who was the manager of the American football team. Coach Mendoza pushed them away from the first meeting with his teammates, like this. "Some of you guys would have come here because they thought they were just playing around. Those guys will be cheaper with blood. There might be some guys who just want to grab a poop from wearing that poop uniform without having to go around and talk about bullshit. By the way, you know that? If you do that in front of me, you will be very ruined." Coach Mendoza, an old-fashioned tough guy, drove his crew with such harsh words. Although his mouth was rough, there was no malice in it. Ben Horowitz naturally realized that leadership is what I mean by this. seeing him motivate every team member to bring the players together and move toward a common goal of victory. He also realized that he had to see the world from different perspectives through his football team activities. It was another lesson that American football gave him. He was the only math student on the football team. There are as many different perspectives as the number of people in the world. As you watch the football team friends and excellent class friends gather completely different reactions on the same topic. To make good judgments, you have to look at matters from many different angles. Joe Biden also played football in high school and college. Particularly to him, who had suffered from stuttering from his childhood, the time in the field was the time he was able to show off his excellent motor skills, and this helped to build his confidence. I was particularly good at sports in high school. I led our football teams undefeated and loose scoring streak when I was in third grade. I was confident in the field, said Joe Biden. His prosperity as a management coach for big players since he entered the business world demonstrates that business success requires not only cool judgment, but also empathy to measure the emotions of others. There are three main reasons why American football was able to teach them this way. First, they have been able to develop their ability to create strategies and put them into action to achieve their goals through American football. American football is one of the most sophisticated strategies of today's sports. There are hundreds of strategies tailored to offensive and defensive situations, and players must all remember them. On the outside, it's just like a simple, ignorant sport that hits you with your body, but in fact, all players move in tandem according to predetermined strategies. Playing American football games based on sophisticated strategies taught me how to set up and practice strategies that would get the most out of the game at a minimal cost. Teachings like this have been a decisive help in reaching out to society in the future as well. Second, through American football, they were able to acquire a spirit of challenge and momentum that did not break in any difficult situation. Through American football, advancing through all kinds of obstacles to the end of the opposing faction, I was able to learn the attitude of never giving up. American football is most similar to war among today's sports. It is a sport in which points can only be earned by breaking through with the ball to the end of the opponent's side within a given chance. Retreats and evasions that do not contribute to victory are not tolerated. Because the value of advancing is an absolute sport, I was able to learn the momentum to set one goal and keep pushing through American football. Third, through American football, they were able to learn teamwork, which is most important to achieving a common goal. American football is a sport where collaboration with colleagues is more important than any other sport. No matter how good the player is, he cannot score by himself. Looking at the appearance of a quarterback or running back who sprints through the field with a ball, you can think that it is possible to increase the score with excellent personal deception in American football. The reason these players can run like this is that other fellow players are bumping into their bodies and blocking the opposing defenders. American football has 11 players that are different for each situation, such as an attack, defense, special. That's why one team will have at least 30 to 40 people. And many of these players don't even catch a ball throughout the game. Depending on their mission, they play the role of blocking the opponent's attacker or blocking the opponent's defender and breaking through the lane. As such, the importance of teamwork and collaboration was realized through a football match in which a large number of people do their best in their respective roles for the single goal of victory. I was able to learn the attitude of silent devotion for common goals. Enjoying team sports, even if it's not necessarily American football, is a very effective way to learn the many qualities you need to live your life, such as a challenging spirit, strategy-making skills, and teamwork.